my name is Jenny Woolsey, and this month is Craniofacial Acceptance Month. Today, I have been doing a lot of thinking about something that was said to me from the moment I can remember through to not long ago. And it's also something that was said to me about my children being born with Crouzon syndrome, which is my craniofacial syndrome. And I'm wondering if maybe there's a sentence or something that you have heard a lot. And if there is, what is it? What have you heard for your entire life? Or if you don't have a craniofacial syndrome, is there something that you have said to people who do? Now, what I'm talking about in my case, the sentence is, it could have been worse. Now, I love my mum. I heard this all the way growing up. Mum would always say to me when I was down on myself, we count our blessings, it could have been worse. Now, I had been around the hospital, so I knew it could have been worse. But do you think that helped my heart or my mind that was saying I hate having Crouzon syndrome? No, it didn't. And I know Mum did it out of love and to try and help me. Now, the funny thing is, even though I really didn't like hearing it growing up, I've heard myself saying it to other people because I've been judged and criticised for having 2 children with Crouzon syndrome. Now, I knew going into getting pregnant that I had a 50-50 chance of passing on the syndrome. My husband and I made a conscious decision to try, and we would let God decide what we would have. Now, I can't say I was happy when the children had Crouzon syndrome. In fact, to be honest, I wished they didn't. But that was the way it is, and that was something I had to accept and come to terms with. But then to have people say to me, you should never have had children, particularly the trolls, which we need to ignore as much as possible on my YouTube videos, criticising me. Well, to them and to other people in my immediate vicinity who would also say things, I would say it could have been worse. Now, I knew from being at the hospital growing up and then at the hospital with my children, I saw all sorts of things that children could be born with. But is it right for me to have a scale? And if so, does Crouzon syndrome go up the severe end? Does it go down the mild end? Like who classifies conditions, disabilities, syndromes? Who does that? I know people do that in their minds. They categorize. They put things like syndromes on a scale. And obviously Crouzon syndrome is, for some people, not severe. But because everybody has their own scale, for some people Crouzon syndrome is severe. And these people with Crouzon syndrome should not be around, should not be allowed to breed. So I guess this is something I've really pondered over because in some ways it hurts. We need to acknowledge that we have Crouzon syndrome or whatever the craniofacial syndrome is that we have. We need to accept that. And part of accepting that is looking at our thoughts about it. And if someone says to you, it could have been worse, I think you really need to be honest. Now, some people are fine with having a craniofacial syndrome, and that's wonderful. But there are many people who aren't fine with having a craniofacial syndrome. And if you are someone who is supporting a person with a craniofacial syndrome, you really need to be careful what you say to them. Don't say to them, it could be worse, because you don't know. You're not walking in their shoes. You don't have their thoughts and feelings. And I think unless we do walk in someone's shoes, we can't fully know the extent of their happiness or their depression about having something. And that goes for everything. So I will leave today with a message of, if you do hear a sentence like it could have been worse, or another sentence that tries to trivialize your feelings, be honest with yourself, be honest with that person, and say, well, actually, this is how I feel about having this syndrome. And this is my journey, my feelings. If you need to go get help also to sort through that, please go and see a psychologist and get some professional help. All right, well, that's it for today, and I will see you tomorrow for another tip. My name is Jenny Woolsey. I'm an author, speaker, teacher, and an artist. I have the motto, be weirdly wonderful, embrace your disability and differences. If you like my videos for Craniofacial Acceptance Month, please share them, comment down below. I will see you next time for the next video.